how you feel about a certain piece or pieces in your wardrobe, like validate that, acknowledge that. These are your feelings and your feelings can change.
The intentional wardrobe movement, TIWM, stands for
T, take back your style.
I, intentionally shop.
W, wear it, work it, or wave goodbye.
And N, matter.
And you can check out more details in our description. Hi, welcome to our podcast, The Intentional Wardrobe Movement with Brandy.
And I'm Sam.
We are here to analyze self in the wide world of fashion, offering up tools for impactful transformation. So today we are going to tackle a really interesting question. And that is, why is my closet filled with emotion? We're going to really break that down to understand, do you have pieces in your wardrobe that just aren't being worn, but you have a real problem letting go of those items because you feel some sort of emotional attachment, yet you don't consciously know what that is? Or also, we're going to delve into, why do you feel this way? And we ultimately are going to learn some ways to manage these emotions so that you can be practicing sustainable practices, like giving those items away if you really aren't using them, so that you can reach your closet goals.
Yes. Let's dive in.
Okay, so I'm just going to start off with, why do you think our closets are filled with emotions?
Oh my gosh, there are so many reasons. I actually have a list of some reasons why, but there are so many reasons why. First of all, these clothing, a lot of times they represent different parts of our lives, like different timelines in our lives. So they might be sentimental, like something from your grandmother, something from your mother, something from someone who's no longer alive, or they are something that's an emotional security, like you wear these pieces over and over and you feel secure because it's something you know. So sometimes, and this is where a personal stylist can come in and help you, you get used to wearing the same items, but they may not actually be beneficial to you. They may not be like complimenting you in the best manner. And so that's another reason why, just like that emotional, it's like kind of like an emotional security blanket. Another reason why is that clothing can sometimes represent this achievement, like if you graduated college or when you got your first job. So like, this is the first suit that I bought when I got my first real job. I mean, I actually kept that suit for a long time. So I
So
know.
did I.
See? So like,
that's such a real
it is
emotion. We do associate some sort of value, a word system,
yes,
to things that have sort of helped us through amazing achievements in our lives.
Right. Or like, this is my first designer piece that I bought with my own like hard-earned money. Like,
That's
but I
so
don't
true.
fit it anymore. I mean, things like that. So there are like,
because it's this big now.
So there are certain things. Also, there are certain things that have like cultural significance. And so that's like, for example, my daughter, like, if she got baptized in a certain thing, like, so I have these like little things that obviously she can't wear anymore, but I still have them. So certain things like that, something that was gifted to you, like your significant other or your mother or something gifted you something, and that was like a really important present at the time. Like my husband is giving me a necklace, and it wasn't my aesthetic at the time, but I couldn't get rid of it.
Oh, we all have those, don't we?
So there's
like, yes, look at that, but I will cherish it for always.
Yes, and it's always like, this made me think of you. I'm like, really?
Interesting connection there, but okay, thank you, honey. Yeah, totally get it.
Yes. Other reasons are that it could be a piece that represents like a transformation. Let's say you're on a weight loss journey and there's a skirt that you used to be able to fit in and you don't now, and you're on a journey to fit that skirt. So you could be holding on to it because you're like, this is your goal, which I have lots. I don't know if you do. I have lots to say about that kind of stuff, like holding on to that in your closet.
So many things to say about that. Coming from resale, yes, and the real, yes. I definitely have a lot to say about that. But yes, because then you can get into the body shaming. So but I loved how you did say the word transformation, because I think that's such a positive way of looking at it. And so I think that's a really good way of thinking about some of the goal-oriented pieces that we do want to hold on to.
Yeah, sure, for sure. And then just like social connections, as far as like, for example, husbands, like if you're wearing like your favorite jersey, like your Stars, your Cowboys, something like that. So having those types of pieces, like, oh, this is like when I grew up, like we still have my husband's, I think, soccer jersey from when he was like 5. We have things.
Oh, I love that.
And then last are just inherited pieces like that are very, it kind of goes back to the sentimental pieces, but they're inherited from your family. And so like it's something from your grandmother. And so it reminds you of her, and it would be very hard to get rid of. So there are so many reasons why we have emotions in our closet, even just like anything that happened in our lives. Like, for example, if we were wearing a certain something and we broke up with someone, then we have this shirt that's filled with that emotion.
So many emotions. Yeah. And, that is such a good point, because I think of, why do we feel this way? And nothing made it more apparent to me than when I started working for The Real doing closet edits virtually, because we weren't allowed to go in 2020 in home. So I was doing this virtually, but at the outset, I recognized some of these things. They rang bells for me. They were pretty obvious. I had certain outfits where I wore this dress to my, engagement party, or, my father had passed down his ring. I wear it on this finger. There are certain things that I recognize. So, totally conscious. It's post-pandemic. I would ask when we started our virtual closet cleanout, like, is there anything that holds particular value to you? Because we want to make sure that we put those things to the side. That's sort of how we begin it, y'all. And totally fine. People would be, oh yeah, it pulled up. This was my 40th birthday dress. It's Zimmerman. Great. Okay. We put it to the side. Then we'd go about our day. And then I'd realize halfway through, wait a minute, they are holding on to that $10 Old Navy top like I have never seen anyone hold on to something. Like, I don't think that I should get rid of this top that has stains on it and is ripped. And I'm like, really? Because you have you're a banker, and I don't know, I don't see, you have no children or whatever. I don't see that. And what I came to learn was we all sort of have those things in our closet where we can't rationalize. There's no reason why I need this bizarre ripped, stained Old Navy t-shirt. However, I did come across some information as to why. So basically, it's involuntary cognition, everyone.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. So, just the whole emotional detachment situation, which defied logic to me at the time. I realized that in 2012, the term enclothed cognition was born.
Oh, that's
Have
a
you
study.
Heard of this? It's a study.
Such a good study.
It is a study.
Such
okay.
a good study.
So here's what it is. It's Hajo Adam and Adam D. Galinsky, and they do a psychological study on the lab coat.
Yeah.
So what starts out with just, hey, she's a pharmacist. So the lab coat, let's talk lab coats. So there's something about putting on this lab coat, and it transforms people's behavior, performance, acumen. It's just something, it's the act of wearing this lab coat. So ultimately, what came out of the study, and it seems so strange to me that this is 2012. Yeah. Like, we didn't really put a name to this feeling that we have when we're in that closet until then. But basically, it's saying that what you wear can impact your actions.
Yes.
That's huge.
Yes.
And it's involuntary.
Out of Northwestern.
So I
know this.
Yeah, it's like this bizarre thing where you just, it's an involuntary cognitive way of associating these feelings to things. So, I like to say, you can let some of that stress go, because when you're holding on to that top and you don't know why, Whereas that $4,000 handbag, you're like, yeah, whatever, I never use it, take it. It's real value, right? So in essence, clothing has just been scientifically proven to have more value. It's not just function, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not just to cover your body. It goes beyond that in so many different ways and in a way that our brains latch onto. So, that's something that I think is really important to look to. Like, okay, it's involuntary cognition. The other thing that answers the question why is the power of color.
Oh, yes.
And I know I do not practice color theory. I have to tell you, when I was 12 years old, I went to a birthday party and we got our color analysis done. And I'm an autumn, everyone. Teal is apparently a great color for me. Anyway, so the reason why I thought about the power of color was because I am building this house, and Kohler has a bathtub that is specifically created for chromotherapy.
Oh,
yes. And it has this whole scientific blurb on the site, and it says it's like we perceive different colors, but they're really just actually different vibrations of wavelength of light.
It's true.
Which is true, right? Because if you have kids and you go to the Science Museum, you see the wavelength of the Perot, right? Like the wavelengths of light. So, I totally hooked on it. And these vibrations, this is what color says, interacts with our body in unique ways. And these characteristics are partly learned on how our culture sees the color. But the takeaway here is that, basically light is a very powerful force.
Yes.
And I had learned early on that hospitals paint their rooms blue because in general, en masse, it provides a calming.
Yeah.
Now it is somewhat subjective. So if you look at blue and you get anxiety ridden, I am not talking about you specifically, but in general, color can bring out certain emotions.
It can, because even pink, like pale pinks, they'll paint the inside of jail holding cells pink to calm the prisoners down. I have that like in a blog post. I learned that from a Chanel makeup artist.
Chanel. I know.
But anyway,
there you go.
Yeah, but there actually is a lot of personality with color. Like there's a lot of color traits, like what they mean and how they make you feel.
I think it is interesting because just so then I had to look up chromotherapy because I was like, wait, chromotherapy. I seriously might get this bathtub, y'all, because I'm locking in on this. I'm like, oh, that's interesting. So apparently there are ancient civilizations. So this is, because you know me in the history, I like to bring it all the way back. No, but chromotherapy was developed in ancient times. So this is not a new concept. It is really something you should also, that is also, and I didn't know that about the pale pink, but I do find that really fascinating because I love the pink. I don't wear a lot of pink, but I love pink just as a color, as an accent piece, because in the handbags, because that's how I accent. No, but I think that's also another real interesting relationship that we can draw when we walk in, because even just looking around, certain colors, really, there's this green with a blue, this baby blue. So it goes back to my autumn colors, but no, this baby blue. And there's something about it that just makes me happy. Out of all the things that I see around me, that's what I gravitate toward.
Yeah, and because there is a color psychology. That's why like certain candidates will wear certain color ties. Like there is true color psychology. So it does make it represents a certain thing, but like certain colors represent power, certain colors represent sterility, certain colors represent love.
Well, and if you think about just in terms of when for Chinese New Year or Chinese Morning, it's all red. And so, we traditionally get married in red and white gowns here in the US, but you would ultimately wear a red.
Yes, I wore like a red. I changed into a red cheongsam like after our ceremony for our reception, and that was really fun. There's like lots of red and gold. It's like good luck and fortune, so it's like a very happy color. So, like I said, there's a lot to color psychology, which is so interesting that you brought up that chroma bathroom, which I didn't know.
Chromotherapy.
And chromotherapy.
Thank you, color.
Very, very amazing.
But they were saying it actually has like physical effects on you, which, you know what, after spending so many years in people's closets, I do feel that way. And I do think that people have a visceral response to color.
Yes.
So the other thing that I like, why do I have so much emotion when I land in my closet? The last thing that I really thought about was just our relationship to things in general. And it's interesting because there's an Aristotle quote, and I'm going to read it. What belongs to us and what we give away always seems very precious to us. I mean, A, that's an ancient quote, and B, it also talks about what we're giving away, right? So we're in this sustainable fashion space. We're talking about the emotional, visceral response that you have when you get in a closet, and also how it triggers some things within you when you are trying to give it away. So it is interesting to me that Aristotle's like, oh, no, you assign a value to just stuff when you own it, but also when you're giving it away. And there was a really interesting study with a psychologist, a Swiss psychologist named Jean Piaget. And they observed that children preferred to play with their own toys, even when they were given exact replicas of their own toys. Like they would label the box like Sam's toys. And then it would be like a box of the exact same toys. But Sam would be like, no, those are mine. So there's this association of what is yours is right? So I actually came across another psychologist, Christian Jarrett, in an article written for M.M. LaFleur, and discussing something called associative valuation. And that's where we have a hard time letting go of things because we personalize them. And in this article, they talked about how, and I know how you talked about inheriting something like a family heirloom, which to me makes perfect sense. But what was discussed was, oh no, people bid top dollar to get something that was owned by Marilyn Monroe or owned by Wayne Gretzky or whatever. And that there's this personalization that we assign to an item, even though Marilyn Monroe's shoe, we feel like we own a piece of that. So yeah, definitely something that is really interesting, but it helps to serve all these neural pathways that are building this whole stewards of stuff inside of our minds. And we have that hoarding, just a little bit of hoarding, just like naturally inside of us. And it's not necessarily with clothing itself, but it's with stuff in general. So it's more generalized than what is it about like in my closet. It goes beyond that to no, we actually really like our own stuff in general. So Sam, how do you believe that we can learn to manage these emotions in a way that we are more able to align our closet, our wardrobes, our style with these sustainable goals?
Well, I feel like there's going to be a different solution depending. It's going to be dependent on each situation.
Okay.
So, for example, if you have that transformational piece, like this goal item, like let's say a skirt that you want to fit into and you don't quite fit into, instead of keeping it in your closet so that when you reach for it, it doesn't, you're not able to wear it and you feel bad about yourself, I do say put it away. Or if you just, but the thing is, what you could do is really just get rid of it and like donate it back into circular fashion, because when you get through your weight loss journey or whatever, you may want a totally different style skirt anyways. I mean,
such good logic. All of you clients, I mean, we really agree on that in terms of, and you don't have to take it to the extent of body shaming, but to see it in a transformative way, which is your styles and goals and needs change. I had read an article at some point where they said, oh, your real estate needs, if your real estate needs change every 10 years, they literally in this article, it had said, oh no, like what you physically need and what you want in life changes every 10 years. Well, I would apply that same thing to what you're saying. If you go on this weight loss journey, hoping it doesn't take me 10 years to lose the weight that I'm goaling. But if it does, realistically, life changes and you change and you develop and you grow. And so do sadly trends and things, the visual things that we're seeing, but like the pant styles or even the skirt lengths between, and you're so good at this because your whole style through the ages, what you needed the skirt length you needed when you were 20 is not the skirt length that you need in your 40s, everyone.
Yes. So no micro minis for me.
No micro minis. No, but
you can't. But
not that, yeah, if you could rock it, it's great.
Personally.
Yeah. And so I do feel like you can have a positive spin on it.
Yeah.
That is, hey, you know what? It's just not going to serve me once I get there. And that's great, right? Oh my gosh. Like, what if you lose 10 more pounds than you thought, right? So there can be a really good, happy, exciting way of letting go.
And also I feel like whenever you're looking at that piece of clothing, you're trying to go back to that time, but you should be looking forward or being
because
in the present.
It's safe.
Yes.
And I think psychologically, sometimes it seems safer, because we know what has happened in the past. Sometimes the future can be a little bit unknown, and that can be a little bit harder to literally dive face first into. But again, if we just sort of keep a positive, open mind about it, that these emotions, they really did, they made you feel great and they made you do great things. But to know, gosh, I did wear that to my first interview for my first job. My gosh, can you imagine if I could pass that on?
Someone else.
And someone else could get their first job. That's so exciting, right? So, there's a real need to see that if we hoard it, if we keep it in the back of our closet, it really doesn't deserve to. And some of these things, they really do deserve an amazing time out there. And I want them to be loved and worn by young, fabulous, my young, fabulous days in New York City. I mean, those were great, but they don't need to be with a 40-something-year-old mom of two.
And I just feel like
in Texas,
you're able to spread joy in that way. So you're able to share like the joy that you had with that piece. You can give it to someone else, which is really nice.
Absolutely,
really
and sustainable.
For sure. What about you? Like, what is a way that you can consider?
Well, I wrote down a couple of thoughts. You know me. No, really, I think that there are certainly ways that you can approach this, because it is so hard, and it's hard for me. So, gosh, don't think just because I've been in the closet on the front lines helping folks let it go. There is something so incredibly humbling when you are alone in a closet and you're really staring back at history and memories and emotions and successes and failures, that it is hard. But, I think the first thing for me is just acknowledge that fashion is therapy, right? And it just almost like let it roll over you for all of its great things and all of its bad things. Because when we, discuss the topic of minimalism, I don't just have 10 things in my closet. I would love to be that person. I'm a sustainable champion. Should I be doing that? Yeah. But I can't walk in that closet and feel like it's a failure. It has been therapy. And maybe in the past it was, before I really took that turn of embracing the sustainable fashion goals and lifestyle, maybe it was more form of, a negative therapy, where maybe it was
retail therapy,
where I was drinking that glass of wine and hitting that smashing that buy button. But I have grown through the years, and I think that it's okay to accept that.
Feel the feelings.
Yeah, and feel the feelings. And I ran across a professor and fashion psychologist researcher from FIT, Dr. Dawn Karen. And it was really interesting because they made a statement that said through clothing, we can actually find our sense of control.
Mm-hmm.
And so just sort of keep that going, how you feel about a certain piece or pieces in your wardrobe, like validate that, acknowledge that, these are your feelings and your feelings can change.
True.
And so when they do, let it happen, right? So, and then like gain power from that, gain knowledge, gain truth, gain a distance up that mountain of trying to figure out this whole fashion game and let them go. But one of the other things I wanted to discuss about like how did I try to help folks do this is that I have a very specific 3-part staging program that if you worked with me, this is actually how I do it. And it is valuable for me, and I hope that it can be helpful for you. But I have a 3-part staging program to the point that I make things incredibly visible. I've got one area of my closet, it's to the left, y'all, where those are all of the things that are the Marie Kondo bring me joy. I love them, or at least I think I'm going to wear them. And so I put them to the left of my closet. In the middle of my closet lies this one rack, and the rack is stage 2. And stage 2 is, I can't let it go, right? Like I just can't, it's me acknowledging I'm not ready. Put it in this, take it out, put it in this area, make it visible, because it will really lead you to realize like, oh gosh, that's new with tags and I really never wore it and I don't know what I was thinking. I hate the color on me or whatever. But it gives you the opportunity. And I say to myself, every time I walk in the closet, I have to go to the middle rack. Number 2 rack is where I have to go first. You will make up excuses. I mean, it is so crazy how you're just being like, yeah, well, no, I can't wear orange to this soccer game. The team could lose. I mean, you'll really go through weird lengths and you will have actual full conversations with yourself out loud in your closet. But the stage 2 is important. And then stage 3 is a bag. Now, back in the real world days, it would be a white, large, we all know them and love them, the white, real bag. But it can literally be a trash bag. It can be anything that you need. And it's important that you, when you do decide to give it away, you put it in stage 3. Stage 3, and it just stays. And it has to be covered. It has to be zipped. It has to be tied. Do not put it in a clear plastic bag so that you can look at it and pawn and just be like, oh no, I don't know. We do not take anything out of stage 3. Okay, this is real. Because you've already gone through stage 1 and stage 2, and it doesn't happen overnight. You do give yourself grace, right? We've just admitted to ourselves that, it's therapy, that clothing, that fashion is therapy for us. And then so here, you've gone through the steps. It's gone. You've let it go. So it goes in the bag and then it goes. And then you could recycle it.
That's so funny because I have a different way of doing that.
Oh, you
I didn't know you were gonna share that. So basically, all of this for me goes back to your style identity. So like whatever your style identity is. So that's like the first thing we do, like in my program, you figure out what your style identity is. You go through all your clothes. And then if it doesn't fit with your style identity or doesn't fit or whatever,
or doesn't fit, that's important.
But it's going to be donated or, given away, whatever. Sold back to the real world. But if it's something you cannot get rid of and it doesn't fit your style identity, then it does go away. And it goes away. I have it out of your closet so that you're not trying to reach for it and like whatever, but it goes into a separate closet.
Always goes away.
And then you have to set an alarm because you have to revisit it. If you don't set an alarm, it'll sit there forever and you will do nothing with it. So you have to set an alarm. And then the things that I have gotten, I do have a bag method too. So the things that I'm like,
the bag.
I'm like 75% sure it's going away, but I'm not sure. I put it in a bag. It is in a separate room so I don't see it. But then
you cannot pull it out. Do not pull it out of the bag.
I feel like I was holding on to way too many things. And so like, we're going to talk, are we is that gonna be our challenge? Or because
we'll talk about our challenge.
Yes,
I have
because I do other things with it, but I didn't know if I should ruin the challenge.
We'll discuss it. I just have two more things that I want to say, and then I think we can get to our challenge this week, everybody. So the other thing I do want to highlight is it is emotional, but how do we control it? 1 in, 1 out policy. Just adopt it. Just make it part of your routine. 1 in, 1 out. If you buy it, something's got to go. Yeah. And that really helps rein in those emotions sometimes, because then you're standing there with the new thing that you just bought and you're like, before it hangs up in the closet. Like, you just know something's got to be taken out. If you already have this little staging area, you can be like, all right, then I really cannot seem to wear that orange shirt ever. So it's got to go. But I think 1 in, 1 out, like, adopt a policy like that.
That's a good one.
It just because that just helps let go of some of the emotion. And then the fourth would be, I'm all about colors today. Since we learned that color does influence you, just color coordinate. And that is a really nice way of also being able to do a quick visual of, hey, I obviously 93% of my wardrobe, because I've obviously analyzed this, 93% of my wardrobe is black. 7% of my wardrobe is navy blue. But, just once you start to hone in on these are things that make me feel good, or these are things that I keep buying over and over again. Like, wow, I have 35 black turtlenecks. I get it. We all had a thing with Steve Jobs was like influencing our fashion, but here's the thing. You really don't need 35 of them, right? So you just need 1. So there's a good way, once you do put things into organized color categories. Some people have real systems where it's like rainbow. My older son, rainbow colors with the crayons, like everything had to be in order. It doesn't have to be. My number 1 color is black. So black gets center stage in my wardrobe because that's what I feel confident wearing. But once you can easily identify that and then put your closet in a way that's color categorized and organized, I think it can help you with the letting go, but it can also help you with what you are bringing new in to make sure that you hold to it, so that you don't make the mistake of that orange top, you guys. Yes. Why did I do it? So that can also just teach you a little bit of a lesson about yourself and about what really does spring and spark joy.
Yeah. I'm in rainbow. That's how
you're in rainbow. I don't have enough rainbow to be rainbow, y'all. So I do worked with several closet organizers in my life. I know it should be rainbow, but you also have it really should be something that's functional too for you, because I think it's all black.
Mine is rainbow and then in sleeve order. I have a very
I am so into sleeve order. We'll discuss how great ways in which you can organize your closet. That'll be later. Okay, so let's talk about our challenge for today, because we do like to end every single one of our podcasts and our YouTube episodes with just a way that you can join in, an actionable way that you can take some responsibility and get a little bit further up that mountain of sustainability. So today we are going to challenge you to take what you're having trouble with parting with and find a way to create a positive emotional centerpiece.
Basically, upcycle it. So if there are a pair, for example, like my example, there's a pair of wedding shoes or a pair of shoes like I wore when my kids were adopted. I don't wear them, but they're really pretty. I could put them in an acrylic box so they are shown off. Or, like how some people have done with their wedding bouquets or things like that. Or if there's a scarf that you love.
I think to the home edit, because I was on medical leave after surgery for 3 months and I watched Marie Kondo and the home edit like back to back on repeat. and Project One Way. It's also something. But no, I think to that. So part of what they would do when they would pull things out of the closet, because if you're genuinely not using it, it's nice. It's great. You take that 40th dress and put it in a box and display it, because it truly is something that brings you joy. You aren't going to use it, but if you are using it as true art, as fashion is, because it is really art, y'all. No, but if you can take it and stage it in a way that it will ultimately be appreciated, being on display is a great idea.
Because it'll bring you joy every single time you see it, or if you have it on display in your closet, as like maybe your closet is like a little boutique, then it'll bring you joy that way. I do that with like sunglasses that I love but I can't get rid of.
She loves sunglasses. This is so true.
That I have them on display. I like to display things because they're fun and they just make you happy. So you could do that instead of hiding it away in some box.
Yes.
You never get to see it.
And here's the interesting thing too is we're going to give you this grace. It doesn't have to be the shoes that you wore when your kids got adopted. It doesn't have to have, it could be the $10 Old Navy stained ripped top.
Maybe
because you could make it into a pillow. We have like little pillows right here, y'all. No, seriously, you also find the beauty in whatever it is that you genuinely have that emotional attachment to, as I touch this microphone, and make it art. And make it visually appealing and make it your happy place so that when you walk in that closet, it genuinely does bring you great joy.
Yeah. And I love that idea. It doesn't have to be some crazy, amazing piece. It could be something so simple. You could make it into a pillow. You could just do whatever.
Because Sam has this incredible bag that she has hung up as a piece of artwork. And it really is so beautiful and fantastic. And I'm like, that is what you see when you walk in her closet. And it brings, it's not even my bag. It has a cute little saying on it, but it brought me joy. So there you go. When you bring your friends on over for visits to your closet, you can genuinely bring them joy.
Yes.
So there you go. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much. And cheers to a conscious closet. Bye.
Bye.